Please be seated. Record should reflect that we're back in session on State versus Fleischauer. The jury has joined us, and we completed the opening statements just prior to the lunch break. Ms. Ellen, with the state's first witness, please.
Thank you. We'll be calling Summer Johnson Fleischauer.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson Fleischauer, if you'll come forward, please, and face the clerk and raise your right hand.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and so help you God?
Thank you. Come over. And both the chair and the microphone are adjustable, so if you need to and Ms. Ellen. All right, thank you. And the jury has their notepads and pens. Ms. Ellen, would you direct, please?
Thank you. Can you state your name and spell your last for the record, please?
Summer Lynn Johnson Fleischauer, Johnson Fleischauer.
And how old are you?
I'm 23.
And where do you currently live?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
Do you work right now?
Yes.
And where do you work?
For Cornerstone Advocacy Services.
Did you recently graduate from college?
Yes.
And when and where did you graduate from college?
From the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, in May of 2019.
And what was your degree in?
I majored in youth studies and minored in family violence prevention.
Summer, who was a part of your immediate family growing up?
My mom, my brother Chase, and our 2 half-siblings.
Okay. And what's your mom's name?
April Johnson.
And what are your siblings' names?
Chase Fleichauer, Samantha Johnson, and Camden Johnson Simon.
Okay. Who is your father?
Kayle Fleischauer.
And is he present here today in the courtroom?
Yes.
Can you identify where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
Yes, he is sitting before me in a gray shirt with a checkered tie.
Record will reflect identification.
You have a brother named Chase Fleichauer?
Yes.
Can you tell me about Chase?
Yeah, he's amazing. He's incredibly smart and funny, athletic. He's very kind. He's a caring, wonderful person.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you has been marked Exhibit 1. What is that?
It is a photo of Chase.
And this appear to be a true and accurate photo of Chase Fleichauer.
Yes.
Permission to publish.
Without objection.
And again, Summer, who are we seeing in this photo?
My brother Chase Fleischauer,
Do you know how old he was roughly in that photo?
19.
What is Chase's date of birth?
June 19th, 1998.
So in April of 2018, was he 19 years old?
Yes.
At that time, where was he going to school?
St. Cloud State University.
Do you know what for?
Yes, he was torn between marketing and finance.
In school, did Chase play any sports?
Yes, he played football.
And any other sports that you know of?
He ran track.
Did he go to school to play football for some college?
His freshman year of school he did.
Do you know where?
Yeah, he went to school at Central Lakes in Brainerd, Minnesota.
Was that for the purpose of playing football?
For school and football, yes.
Do you know why later then he went to St. Cloud State?
He decided he wanted to pursue a degree in marketing, and St. Cloud was just a better fit for that.
Now, growing up, did you grow up here in the St. Paul area?
Yes.
And where did you and Chase go to high school?
At Tartan High School in Oakdale, Minnesota.
And is that where you both graduated from?
Yes.
Now,
Growing up, did you live with both your parents?
No.
Who did you live with when?
We lived with our mother, April Johnson, throughout the duration of our lives up until we went to college.
Were your parents ever married at some point?
Yes.
And did they get divorced, if you know?
Yes.
How old were you when they got divorced?
They had gotten divorced in 2001, so I would have been 5 and Chase would have been 3.5.
Okay. And when you're 5 and 3, did you ever live with your father?
If he had resided at our mother's home for a time, but they had separated prior to that, prior to them getting divorced.
Did you ever live at your father's home?
No.
How often would you see or stay with the defendant then?
We go over there on Mondays and Wednesdays when we were younger, and then gradually over time we stopped going over altogether.
Now, did Chase play football in high school?
Yes.
And did you go to his football games?
Yes.
How often did you go to his football games?
Pretty frequently.
Would you see the defendant at Chase's football games?
No.
Did he ever go to his football games?
No, he wasn't interested. There may have been 1 or 2, but not regularly or frequently.
Okay. Now, if you know, Summer, was Chase right or left-handed?
He's right-handed.
Okay. And how often let me back up. Is the defendant the father to you and Chase?
Yes.
And your other half-siblings, do they have a different father?
Yes.
So growing up, if you spent time with the defendant, would Chase be with you?
Always, yes.
Okay. And when you would see the defendant, would it just be him or would it be with other family members?
Almost always with other family members.
And who would those family members be?
Our grandparents, and his girlfriend at the time,
And what are your grandparents' names?
Rod and Candy Fleischauer.
Summer, were you close with your father?
No.
Now, do you know if the defendant is right-handed or left-handed?
He's right-handed.
How often before April 14th of 2018 did you talk with the defendant on the phone?
Hardly ever. Yeah.
Sometime on April 11th of 2018, did you have a conversation with the defendant that you recall?
Yes.
And why do you recall that conversation?
Because it was so bizarre and he never calls me. It was so out of the ordinary. It was unexpected.
Can you tell me about that phone call?
He had called me late that night, and he was talking about a variety of things. He talked about what I was supposed to do in the event that he died. I was supposed to kick his girlfriend out of the home that he resides with, and I was supposed to, like if he were on life support, I was supposed to give him 30 days on life support before removing him from that. He had talked about the fact that he was depressed, and we had talked a bit about my grandpa because my grandpa had recently passed away. And then he brought up what to do. He wanted, in the event that I died, he had wanted stuff put in place too. He wanted my social security number and said if something were to happen to me, he should be on the title of my van and on my checking accounts. When I told him I didn't own anything that anything would have to be done for, and he brought up my van and my checking accounts.
Was this a normal conversation that you would have with the defendant?
No.
Now, did you talk about your grandpa, Rod Fleischauer, passing away?
Yes.
And when did he pass away, if you know?
On March 3rd?
Of 2018?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And did you talk about the passing of your grandpa with the defendant on April 11th, 2018?
Yes.
And what was that conversation about, if you recall?
Planning the celebration of life that was going to be the following week on April 21st. And yeah, we had talked about that.
Did you ever make plans to go over to the defendant's house to plan this celebration of life?
Yes, during the call he had said he needed to see his kids and he wanted us to come over, and so I said okay.
And so then what was the plan to go over to the defendant's home?
That I made at that time,
Yes.
that we would come over on that Friday.
And who would come over?
Chase and myself.
Now, at this time, how often are you talking to Chase?
Every day?
You would agree he didn't live by you, correct?
No.
Okay. But you kept in frequent communication with him?
Yes.
So did you tell him about the plan to go to the defendant's house on April 13th of 2018?
Yes. Right after our conversation on the phone had ended, I texted Chase saying something along the lines of, "Dad sounds really messed up. We should go over there this weekend."
Okay. And how did Chase respond, if you know?
He said okay, and then we made plans to go over there on Friday.
And what were your plans with Chase that Friday?
He was going to drive, because Chase lives in St. Cloud where he goes to school, so he was driving down from St. Cloud to my home in Minneapolis, and then I drive us to New Richmond.
And so would you agree with me on April 13th, 2018, that was a Friday?
Yes, that's correct.
That day, did Chase come over to your home in Minneapolis?
Yes.
Do you remember what time?
Approximately 4 or 5. It was after I had gotten off of work.
And what did Chase have with him, if anything?
He was carrying his laundry for the weekend because he brings it home to do with my mom. Yeah.
So then once Chase got to your house with the laundry, what happened?
Then we got into my car, and then I drove us to New Richmond.
Okay. And what type of car were you driving at that point?
A minivan.
So then, did you communicate with the defendant that you were gonna come over?
Yes.
Okay, and how did you do that?
Via text.
Okay, do you remember what you said?
Not exactly.
But you had some type of communication with the defendant before you got to his house.
Yeah, something along the lines of we're on our way.
Did he text anything back to you at all before you got to his home?
I can't recall if it was to my phone or because at that time Chase and I were together. I can't recall if it was to my phone or Chase's phone, but he had mentioned the weather being bad.
And what was the weather like that night?
It was like sleeting, it was snowing, it was bad conditions.
Kind of a winter storm, would you agree?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Did you have any other communication with the defendant about what you would eat or drink while you were there?
Yes, he was talking about going to the liquor store and what we wanted to drink.
And how did you respond, if anything?
I said vodka.
Okay. And is that what you drank for an alcoholic beverage?
I had mixed drinks, yes.
Okay. And so are you and Chase now then driving over to your father's home?
Yes.
And where does he live, if you know?
New Richmond, Wisconsin.
Had you ever been to that home before?
I've been there a couple times.
Do you one second. Did you have to look up directions on how to get to the home?
Yeah, we just put his address into Google Maps.
And you were able to find it that way?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you know, who lived at the defendant's home?
Our father and his girlfriend,
And what was her name, if you know?
Annette Gonzalez.
And have you met Annette before?
Yes.
So what time did you get to the defendant's home?
I don't recall exactly, maybe around 6-ish.
And when you got there, who was there?
Just our dad.
Did you find that unusual?
Yes.
Why?
Because usually when we see our dad, there's someone else there, and so Chase had asked, like, where's Annette? Where's Grandma? Kind of, where's somebody else?
And how did the defendant respond, if you know?
That Annette was out with her girlfriends, and then he said, why does Grandma have to be here?
So when you got there, anybody else in the home besides the defendant?
No.
What happened once you arrived?
We had pulled up into the driveway, and he had wanted me to park in the garage. So I pulled into the garage. We exited the car and then came in through that entryway because in the garage there's a doorway into the home. So we came in through that way.
I'm showing you it's been marked Exhibit 2. Jeff, may I approach?
Yes.
What are we seeing there?
The front of our dad's home.
Does this appear to be a true and accurate depiction of the defendant's home on April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
No objection.
Thank you. Received, publication granted.
Summer, can you just tell us what we're seeing in Exhibit 2?
That's the front of our dad's home. That's part of the garage and then the front door.
So
Ms.
you-
Allen, I'm going to interrupt just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, we can dim the lights or turn the lights off if it's going to make your ability to view easier. I prefer not to, but if you have difficulty seeing, let me know and we can make some adjustments to the lighting if that becomes necessary. Ms. Ellenwood, thank you.
When you got into the defendant's home, did the defendant greet you at all?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did he say or do?
We spoke briefly and then he asked if we wanted something to drink.
How did you respond?
That I hadn't had dinner yet.
Did Chase respond at all, if you know?
Well, our dad had been like, well, do you want to drink to Chase? And then Chase said, well, I haven't had dinner yet either.
So while you were there, did any dogs greet you at all?
When we arrived at the home, yes.
What kind of dogs, if you know?
Well, there's Ruby, who's a boxer, and then Sino, and I'm unsure what kind of dog he is. They're both larger dogs.
Did you play with the dogs, or what did you do with the dogs?
Just greeted the dogs and said hi to them. Just normal.
Kind of a silly question, but what kind of dogs are they like? Are they hyper? Are they mellow? Something else?
They're both.
The Honor object is lack of foundation.
Sustained at this point, Ms. Ellenwood?
Have you been around these dogs before?
Yes.
Have you owned dogs before in your life?
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to make a characterization of what type of dog they were in your presence that day?
Yes.
And what was that?
Same objection, Your Honor. I believe she testified she's been in the house twice.
As I understand the question, it's comparing the behaviors of these dogs to dogs that she's had throughout her lifetime. So it's a matter of weight. If any of the jury gives it, you can answer. You can answer.
They're just mellow older dogs. They're both older. They're just nice dogs.
So when you got there, did you sit down, eat dinner? What'd you do?
Yes, we got there. He had had dinner ready, so we got dinner, and then we sat at the dining room table and had dinner and talked.
What was for dinner?
We had chicken, potatoes, and then a vegetable.
During the course of the dinner, what are you all doing?
We're drinking and talking, and then we were looking at photos because our grandpa's celebration of life was the following week, and so we were picking out photos and whatnot to put on poster boards.
At this time, Summer, what are you drinking?
Vodka lemonade,
Okay. And what is Chase drinking?
Coors,
Just for the jury, what is Coors?
beer.
Okay. And what is the defendant drinking if he is?
He's drinking beer that's Coors as well.
Okay. During the course of dinner, do you all continue to consume alcohol?
Yes.
How much alcohol are you consuming?
Just a casual, just a normal amount. I'm not drinking fast, just sitting and enjoying. Yeah.
Are you seeing what Chase is drinking?
Yes.
And what's he drinking?
The Coors beer.
How quickly is he drinking that? That would have been a better question.
Object to
Quick.
that is lack of foundation, Your Honor.
I'll sustain as to the form of the question.
How fast was the defendant drinking if he was drinking fast?
Same objection.
Sustained as to form.
At what pace was Chase drinking?
Quickly.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Do you understand the question? You can answer. It's a matter of weight.
I'm so sorry. Can you ask it again?
What pace was Chase drinking Coors Light at?
Quickly.
Did you have a conversation or the defendant have a conversation about Chase drinking beer that evening?
Yes, because our dad was drinking really.
Same. Object, Your Honor, not responsive.
Sustained. If you can listen to the question, Ms. Ellenwood.
Did you have a conversation, did the defendant make any statements about Chase drinking that evening?
Yes.
And what was that statement?
That he should be drinking faster so that every time, because our dad was drinking really fast, so every time he get himself a beer, he get Chase a new one too.
How did Chase respond to that, if you know?
Just kind of laughing, saying okay.
During the course of the evening, did you guys have any discussions besides about the celebration of life?
Yes.
And what was that about?
We talked about a variety of things. We had talked about guns, politics, and other stuff that had come up in our lives too.
Did you talk about an argument that you had previously had with a friend?
Yes.
What was the context of that conversation?
Chase had asked me, are you and Jerry friends again? And I had said no. And my dad said, well, why aren't you guys friends? And Chase had told him because we had had an argument. And then my dad started to say, he started to just get aggressive towards Chase and told him, why are you letting people fuck with your sister? You need to man up, you need to man the fuck up. And he kept telling him to man up repeatedly. And then he called him a pussy.
After he called Chase a pussy, how did Chase respond?
Chase just looked at me.
What was the expression on his face, if you remember?
He was kind of shocked and then looked at me to respond.
How did you respond to the defendant then?
I told him to knock it off, don't talk to him like that.
You said that you had talked about a tattoo that you had received.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I had gotten a tattoo recently, so I showed my dad and Chase. And my dad didn't like it, he thought it sucked. He knew a guy, Joe Trowbridge, that he said could have done a better job. And that was kind of the extent of that.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you as the mark exhibit 6. What is that?
The picture of the tattoo on my lower leg.
And who took that photo, if you know?
Our dad had taken it.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of the tattoo as how it looked on April 13th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
No objection.
Received, publication granted.
Can you just describe for the jury what we're now seeing as the focal point of this image?
Sure, it's just the, excuse me, the lower part of my leg and then the tattoo on it.
Appears to be of a woman?
Yes.
Okay. And how did your dad react to you showing him this tattoo?
He very strongly expressed that he didn't like it.
During the course of the evening, Summer, did you have your phone out?
Yes.
And were you using an application called Snapchat?
Yes.
And what is Snapchat?
It's an app where you send photos and videos to friends and family.
And are you able to operate that Snapchat on your phone?
Yes.
Did you take some photos that night of the three of you?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Summer, I'm showing you some marked exhibits 3 and exhibit 4.
Show one of the three of them. That's number 6. Let's take. See? Yeah.
What's in Exhibit 3 and 4?
Exhibit 3 is a picture of Chase and I, and then Exhibit 4 is a photo that I had taken of our dad.
And did you take those photos?
Yes.
And do those appear to be a true and accurate depiction of the photos you took on April 13th of 2018?
Yes.
Okay, permission to enter and publish.
No objection.
Receive, publication granted.
So on Exhibit 3 here, what are we seeing?
A photo that I had taken of Chase and I.
And that's, does that adequately reflect how you both looked that evening?
Yes.
What is Chase wearing in that photo, if you can tell?
He has his red Savoy Pizza sweatshirt on, and then a black undershirt.
Going to Exhibit 4. What do we see in that photo?
It's a picture that I had taken of our dad next to the kitchen island.
And what does he appear to be wearing in that photo?
A t-shirt that says "You're killing me, Smalls," and then black sweatpants.
Where are you sitting when this picture is taken?
I'm sitting at the dining room table.
Where was the dining room table positioned in the house, if you know?
It's all like an open kind of floor plan, so trying to think how to describe. So it's like the living area, then there's the dining area, and then there's the kitchen area, and it's all open there. And then in the dining area, the dining room table is kind of the center of it.
Okay. Was the dining room table under the light or pushed up against the wall or something else?
Objected as lack of foundation, Your Honor, and leading.
Sustained as to time as well.
That evening when you're having dinner, is the table pushed up against the wall?
No,
Okay, where was it?
where it usually is, just kind of at the center of the dining room.
Okay. Showing you now what's been marked Exhibit 5. May I approach?
Yes.
What are we seeing in that photo?
It's a photo of Chase, our dad, and I.
And who took that photo?
I did.
Does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of the photo you took on April 13th or 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
Judge, could we have a time on that when the photo was taken?
Does the photo identify when the photo was actually taken?
There's not a time listed.
Thank you. Ms. Ellenwood?
Do you know roughly at what time you took this photo?
Yes.
What time was that?
Late in the evening.
Okay. Of April 13th, 2018?
Or in the early morning of April 14th. Yes.
Okay. Sometime after midnight on April 14th, 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
Again, it's going to be a matter of weight. Receive, publication granted.
Summer, what are we seeing in this photo?
Excuse me. It's a photo of Chase, our dad, and I at the dining room table in the dining area.
What do we see Chase is now wearing?
Just his t-shirt.
What color is it, if you remember?
It's a black t-shirt.
Did you have a conversation that evening with the defendant and your brother about guns?
Yes.
What was that conversation about?
He was talking, or our dad was talking about the guns that he had, because he had already owned guns, and then he had just inherited more guns from our grandpa passing. And then he had stated that he had had a gun on top of the fridge, and in the event an Iraqi came into the house, he would show them what's up.
Now, did he tell you what type of gun was on top of the refrigerator?
No.
Did he show you what gun was on top of the refrigerator?
No.
Did you ever walk around and see other guns in the defendant's home?
No.
Object this, Your Honor, is immaterial. It's also lack of foundation and leading.
Sustained as to the leading, Ms. Ellenwood.
Did you ever see guns in your father's home?
No.
During the course of the evening, Did you see the defendant take out or handle any guns?
No.
Eventually, did you end up going to bed?
Yes.
Do you remember what time?
I don't recall exactly. It was late.
Do you recall sometime meeting the investigator to my right, Investigator Mikla, in the early morning hours of April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Do you recall telling him that you believe you went to bed around 10:30 that evening?
Yes.
Okay. Do you now know that to be true or not?
That was not correct.
Okay. How did you learn that that wasn't correct?
Because I had been trying to think of, because during the duration of the evening, I wasn't paying attention to the time. We were just hanging out at my dad's house. And so I just was trying to think back to what time would I have gone to bed, thinking of a time. But then the next day I realized because of the times of my Snapchat photos, it would have been later than that.
Okay. And what was the last Snapchat photo that you took, if you recall?
I don't recall. It would have been either a picture of the three of us at the table or a photo of Chase and I.
Okay. And do you remember what time you sent that photo?
No, I don't recall. It would have been late before I got to bed.
Okay. But you
Yes.
don't remember now when
Not
you
the-
sent that?
Not the exact time. Like it would have been in the 1 o'clock hour.
Okay. After you sent that last Snapchat photo, did you then go to bed?
Yes.
And where did you go to bed?
Downstairs, there's bedrooms located downstairs, and so I had gone downstairs into one of the rooms there.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, can you briefly describe the layout of the defendant's home?
Yeah, so when you walk into the house, it's a split level, so when you come in through the front entryway, there's a stairwell up, and then a stairwell down, and then upstairs it's the living area, the dining room area, the kitchen area, then there's a hallway with the bathroom and bedrooms, and then downstairs there's a living area, and then a hallway with other bedrooms.
And when you went to bed, you went downstairs to sleep in the bedroom?
Yes.
I'm showing you Exhibit 7. May I approach?
Yes.
What is Exhibit 7?
It's a photo of the downstairs bedroom.
Does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of the bedroom that you stayed in on April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
Objection.
Receive, publication granted.
Can you tell us what we're seeing in Exhibit 7?
Yeah, it's a photo of the downstairs bedroom with the two beds that are located within it.
What bed did you sleep on?
The pink one.
Now, when you went to sleep that night, Summer, where were the defendant and Chase, if you know?
They were still upstairs in the dining area at the dining room table.
And did Chase at any time come downstairs to sleep with you?
Oh,
Back to
no.
that is lack of foundation at any time.
Sustained as to form.
Between the hours of 1 and 4 a.m., did Chase come downstairs to sleep with you?
Object to that is lack of foundation, Your Honor.
Well,
How would she know?
that's the premise of the question's overruled. Do you know if your brother came down to sleep that night?
No, he did not.
Not responsive, Your Honor, to your
Sustained
question.
sustained as the response, be stricken.
At any time between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., did you see Chase in that bedroom with you?
No.
Now, when you went to sleep, did you hear anything happen after 1 a.m.?
Yes.
And what did you hear happen?
I could hear motion coming from upstairs, like motion, and then I heard one of them yell, "Fuck you," and the other one yelled, "Fuck you," and I could hear Chase say, "I would never hit my father."
How do you know who it was that was saying, "fuck you, fuck you"?
I couldn't tell which one of them had said it and then said it back, but I could tell from Chase's voice that I would never hit my father because it was long enough for me to hear and distinguish that was Chase's voice.
Okay. How clear were you able to hear Chase say, "I would never hit my father"?
Object to
Clearly.
that, Your Honor, is lack of
Well,
foundation.
sustained as to the form.
Was it that argument or that noise, is that what initially woke you up?
Move it be stricken, the part about argument. Your
Sustained
Honor.
as to argumentative characterization.
The words that you heard being said by the defendant and your brother, is that what initially woke you up?
Yes.
After you heard Chase say, "I would never hit my father," what, if anything, did you do?
I yelled upstairs and said, Chase, it's time for bed. Chase, come to bed.
Why did you say that?
Object to this, Your Honor, it's conclusion of the witness.
Overruled. You can answer. Well, I believe you did answer question, Ms. Ellenwood.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Why did you tell Chase to come to bed?
Because it was late and I could hear him upstairs, so I yelled for him to come down to bed.
To the best of your knowledge, did Chase come downstairs then after you told him to come to bed with you?
No.
What's the next thing that you remember?
That I'd heard something extremely loud from upstairs. Like a very loud noise come from upstairs, like just so loud that I knew something was wrong. Like it sounded like it could have been like a hardwood, like a wooden chair hitting like a hardwood floor, like sharp and loud.
After you heard that noise, what did you do?
I immediately went upstairs
How did you go upstairs?
quickly. I just went straight upstairs.
Do you know what time you heard that loud noise?
No.
When you got to the top of the stairs, what did you see?
That it was just, there was Chase there and he was lying on his back by himself. And he was bleeding really badly from his head.
Show you Exhibit 8. May I approach?
Yes.
What is that?
That's a stairwell leading up to the upstairs area.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate depiction of what you recall the stairs looking like on April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
No objection.
Received, publication granted.
Can you tell us what we're seeing in this photo now?
Yeah, so so there's a stairwell leading down to the basement, then there's a landing, and then it leads, it's a stairwell leading up to that main living area.
When you got up to the top of the landing, you said that you saw Chase laying on his back.
Yes.
Where was he in relation to the house?
So he would have been in front of the island area, and it's all open, so it leads, so the island kitchen area leads into the living room area. So he was in front of the island.
Can I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you it's been marked Exhibit 10. What is that photo?
It's a photo of Chase, lying on his back, and he's in front of the island leading into the dining room area.
Is that how he appeared to you on April 14th of 2018?
Not with the towel laying on him, but yes. Other
that-
than that, yes.
Besides the towel in the photo, is everything else true and accurate?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
Any objection, Mr. Gray?
Is this a picture that she saw when she was coming up the steps?
She has indicated that but for the towel, it appears to be similar to what she saw.
May I ask a couple questions, Your Honor?
Why don't you come up here first?
Somewhere in Exhibit 10, does there also appear to be your cell phone in that photo?
Yes.
The first time that you saw Chase, did you have your cell phone in your hand?
No.
So besides the cell phone and the towel, does that still appear to be a true and accurate depiction of what you saw when you were at the top of the landing on April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish.
Received, publication granted. Mr. Gray will certainly have his opportunity to cross.
Summer, when you're standing at the top of the landing, seeing Chase, what do?
I just started screaming, and I started screaming for my dad.
Was there anyone else around the home at that point?
No.
As you're screaming for your dad, where is he, if you know?
I started screaming, and then he came from one of the rooms from the hallway. So he came out of the hallway area into where I was.
On the upper level?
Yes.
Okay. And what were you screaming at your dad to do?
I was screaming at him to call 911. I said, yeah, I was screaming at him to call 911.
And what's happening as you're telling him to call 911?
He's saying, it's okay, he's okay. And then he's saying, Summer, listen, listen. And then he kept saying, it's okay. And then I started screaming at him to call 911. And then he started reaching for his phone that was on the island.
Now, in this exhibit here, if you know, are you able to see roughly where the defendant's phone was?
I don't know where it would have been exactly, but he had grabbed it off of the island.
On what part of the island, left or right of the island?
It would have been on the left part of the island and probably in the front, because it has like the level of, here's the top part of the island, the second part of the island would have been on that lower section of the island.
When the defendant grabbed his cell phone, what happened?
I was telling him to call 911 and he said no. And then I was saying, give me your phone. And I was screaming at him to give me the phone then, and he was saying no. I said, give me your fucking phone, and he wouldn't, and then he held it up over his head when I was trying to grab it from him. And then I ran downstairs to go get my phone.
If you know, how long did the defendant hold the phone over his head?
It felt like a long time where I was trying to grab it from him, and I obviously wasn't going to be able to get it from him. That's why I ran.
Not responsive, Your Honor.
Can you estimate how long it was? And if you can't, you can't.
I don't recall exactly how long it would have
Thank
been.
you. Ms. Ellenwood?
Were you ever able to get the defendant's phone?
No.
What did you do next?
I ran downstairs to get my phone, and then I called 911, and then I ran back upstairs to be with Chase.
When you talked with 911, did they ask you for the address of the home?
Yes.
And were you able to give it to them?
No, I didn't remember what the address of the house was.
So what did you do?
I asked my dad for the address.
Did he give it to you?
He said no.
What happened after he said no, he wouldn't give you the address?
There's a bunch of mail on the island where like they take their mail in and leave it there. So I grabbed a piece of mail and I read the address off to the dispatcher off the piece of mail.
May I approach?
Yes.
Summer, you know what that is?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the 911 call.
Had you previously had a chance to come to my office to review that recording before?
Yes.
And does that appear to be a true and accurate copy of your conversation with dispatch on April 14th of 2018?
Yes.
Permission to enter and publish?
Mr. Gray?
Objection.
Thank you. Receive publication granted.
Please call 911.
St. Clair County 911. What is the address?
Please call 911 on 51428 42nd Street.
Repeat the address so I know I have it correct.
Please. What is it?
Repeat the address so I know I have it correct, ma'am.
What is it? Okay, what is it? 142nd Street? I'm not entirely sure. Please.
Okay, what's the phone number you're calling from right now in case we get disconnected?
I don't know what's for. I don't fucking know.
Okay, tell me.
I don't know.
Tell me exactly what happened, ma'am.
Is it? What is that?
Take a deep breath and talk to me and tell me exactly what happened.
I think that my brother's been shot in the head.
You think your brother shot himself in the head?
Please, please,
Okay, I've got help on the way. Are you there with him now?
please. 1489 149th Street, in Wisconsin,
You said 14,
54017.
okay, 1489?
1489 142nd Street, Newark, Wisconsin,
Okay.
54017.
What is your first name?
Summer, that's the only thing you know. What do I do?
Summer, listen, take a bit first.
What do I do?
Summer, Summer, listen to me carefully so we can help him, okay?
Please,
take a-
please,
Summer,
yes, yes.
in order to help him, I need you to calm down, okay? Okay, listen carefully. First of all, are you there with him now?
Yes, I
Okay, and where's the gun?
I told him.
Summer? Take a big deep breath so we can help your brother. I need you to calm down so we can help him.
Okay.
Yep. Summer, how old is he? Summer? Okay, we're going to help him, but I need you to calm down. About how old is he?
He's 20 years old.
Okay. Summer, is he awake?
No, he's not.
Okay. Is he breathing?
I don't know how to tell.
Okay. You don't think he's breathing, though?
No, I do.
Okay, we're going to help him.
My
Stay.
brother. No, oh my God. Okay, oh, sorry, please. I can't do it.
Summer?
I can't do it.
Summer?
I can't do it. I can't do it, please.
Summer, is there anybody else there with you?
I know, please.
Summer?
Is
there... Summer, I need you...
Please, please, that's not what I saw. Please,
Summer?
my brother. Please, allow me to know.
Okay, Summer's there. Summer?
Please.
Help is on the way. Is there somebody else there I can talk to?
Yes, call my doctor.
Hello? 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 Hello, can you hear me?
My son is gone. God.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Okay, listen carefully. I want you to lay him flat on his back on the floor and remove any pillows.
And you remove any pillows?
Yep, lay him flat on the ground and remove any pillows.
Okay, I see him right here.
Okay, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you how to do chest compressions. Make sure he's flat on his back on the floor. Place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of the chest, right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that hand.
Okay.
All right, now I want you to pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second and 2 inches deep. Let the chest come all the way between pumps. We're going to do this until help can take over. Summer, I want you to count out loud so I can count with you. Keep pumping the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, and at least 2 inches deep. Help is on the way. Just keep pumping hard and fast. Keep doing the compressions over and over. Don't give up. Keep pushing hard and fast in the center of the chest. Good, just keep going. Help will be there as soon as they can. It's okay, I'm right here with you. Yep, help is on the way. Just keep going hard and fast in the center of the chest. Again, pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second. Good. Keep doing the compressions over and over, Summer. Don't give up. You're doing great, Summer. I'm right here with you. down and open the door, the front door for the officer, okay?
Open the front door. 1, 2, 1, Dad, open the front door.
Do not leave him alone until help is right there with him. Keep pumping hard and fast on the chest. You're doing great, Summer. Just keep pushing hard and fast like you are.
I promise I didn't do it. Chase out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And there's somebody here. 1, 2.
Yep. Keep going until they're right there with you. Just keep pushing hard and fast.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Chase out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
You're doing great, Summer. Just keep pushing hard and fast on the middle of his chest. Keep counting for me, Summer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I should have read this instruction before the recording was played, but I will read it now, and then throughout the trial, additional recordings may be played. You have heard an audio recording. Recordings are proper evidence, and you may consider them just as any other evidence in this trial. You should listen carefully. Some parts may be hard to understand. A transcript of the call was also prepared in this particular recording by St. Croix County Dispatch Center to help you listen to the recording. If you notice any difference between what you heard on the recordings and what you read in the transcript, you must rely on what you heard, not what you read. Thank you. Ms. Ellenwood, question.
When you called 911 and gave the address, do you recall a period of time where we don't hear you talking with dispatch?
Yes.
What were you doing at that point in time?
Because I was kneeling next to Chase. I started giving him mouth to mouth, so I pinched his nose. And then I put my mouth on his, and I was taking big breaths and helping him breathe.
What was the defendant doing while you were doing this, if you know?
He was trying to pull me off of him.
Was he saying anything?
He was like, he's already gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief recess. Don't form any opinions, begin any discussions, or start your deliberations. We'll stand adjourned about 10 minutes, please. Thank you.
All right.